In a jaw-dropping turn of events, Hillary Clinton has launched a public crusade, demanding the permanent closure of the White House press briefing room. Her reasoning? That it has become a hub of dangerous misinformation. But what followed left the entire nation stunned into silence. Karoline Leavitt, the bold and unflinching White House press secretary, stepped forward and delivered a thunderous rebuttal that silenced Clinton and ignited a national firestorm. This clash, broadcast live, ricocheted across every screen in America, and it couldn't have come at a more explosive moment. Just 48 hours earlier, Tulsi Gabbard, now serving as Director of National Intelligence, had shattered Washington's fragile silence. In a composed, measured voice, she unveiled classified evidence revealing that Hillary Clinton, alongside Barack Obama, had orchestrated the now infamous Russian collusion narrative during the 2016 election. The objective was chilling in its precision: destroy Donald Trump before he ever reached the Oval Office. The country was still catching its breath when Clinton suddenly took center stage on a televised political forum. Her face was taut with fury. "The White House press room has become a factory of fiction," she declared. "It must be shut down, immediately. It's nothing but a propaganda arm protecting a criminal president. Karoline Leavitt isn't a press secretary. She's a political pawn." The media pounced. Outrage surged. Commentators and pundits debated breathlessly. But what Clinton didn't realize was that Karoline Leavitt had already seen the broadcast, and she was already heading for the podium, with no plans to hold anything back. Inside the White House, Karoline stood up quietly. She removed her earpiece and discarded her prepared remarks. There would be no script today. She didn't need one. Her next words would come straight from the core of who she was. She entered the press room with calm intensity. Cameras turned. Reporters whispered. Clinton's attack had landed, but Karoline hadn't come to play defense. She came to deliver a reckoning. She stepped up to the podium. The room fell to a hush. "Before I begin," she said evenly, "I'd like to remind you all, when Hillary Clinton calls this press room corrupt, it's like a thief accusing the police of theft." Gasps rippled through the room. Karoline continued, steady as stone. "Let's be clear. The reason Hillary Clinton wants this room shut down isn't because it lies. It's because, for the first time in decades, it's telling the truth. That truth terrifies her." She leaned in slightly. Tulsi Gabbard revealed what Clinton and Obama engineered in 2016. They fabricated evidence. They weaponized intelligence. They tried to frame a man because they couldn't beat him fairly. That's not democracy. That's calculated deceit. She held up a file. "This is Tulsi's full report. Emails, transcripts, undeniable proof. All roads lead back to Hillary Clinton. The same woman now demanding we shut our mouths." The camera zoomed in. Karoline's voice quivered, not from fear but raw resolve. "I was raised to believe America stood for something better. I accepted this role not to protect a politician, but to protect the truth. And now I'm being called a pawn?" She looked directly into the lens. "No, Mrs. Clinton. You are the pawn. A pawn of fear, of guilt, of secrets buried deep for too long." Silence swept the room. No one moved. No one spoke. "I don't stand here defending one man," she said, her eyes sharp. "I stand here defending the integrity of this podium and the truth it was built to deliver. And if that makes me a target, then I say, aim higher." The power of her words shook the room. Journalists who once rolled their eyes now stared in silence. Others slowly lowered their pens. Karoline wasn't reciting talking points. She was standing in front of the machine and refusing to blink. She raised another document. "This," she said, "is a declassified transcript. It confirms direct coordination between Clinton's senior aides and Obama-era officials. Their mission? Construct a lie so big it would cripple Trump's presidency before it began." One reporter audibly dropped a pen. Others glanced around, stunned. Tulsi didn't step forward for attention, Karoline added. She did it to clear her conscience. She did it because she knew she was holding a secret too heavy to bear any longer. She laid the report down firmly. And what was Clinton's response? Not a denial, not an apology. No, she demanded we be silenced. Karoline's voice broke with unmistakable emotion. This room isn't just a place where I brief the press. It's a place where the American people receive the unvarnished truth. And now Hillary Clinton wants it gone, because for once, it isn't protecting her. A retired Navy vet in Ohio whispered to his wife as he watched, "That girl's got more backbone than any press secretary I've ever seen." Karoline pressed on. Hillary Clinton had nothing to say when cities burned. She said nothing while the southern border disintegrated. She was silent when families were crushed by inflation. But now, when her name is on the report, suddenly, she wants this podium destroyed. She raised her chin. This room survived years of misinformation protecting her allies. She never protested then. Why now? Because the truth is finally cutting through. Tears glistened in her eyes. She doesn't fear this podium because of Trump. She fears it because every time I stand here, her lies crumble a little more. The room stood still, united by something greater than partisanship. Truth, spoken without fear. "You want to call me a puppet?" Karoline asked. "I've never read from a script. I speak for a president the American people elected. A man Clinton tried to destroy before he ever took the oath. And now that truth is surfacing, she screams to shut everything down." In a diner in New York, a young mother watching from her phone wiped tears from her cheeks. Finally, she whispered, "Someone who isn't afraid of them." Karoline paused to collect herself. "If speaking the truth makes me your enemy, Mrs. Clinton, then I'll wear that title proudly." Across America, screens lit up with Karoline's image. Fox cut to her full remarks. Even CNN aired it without interruption. Twitter exploded. Karoline the Lioness trended within minutes. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton sat in a studio, watching everything unfold, her face expressionless. Karoline raised one last document. This is Tulsi's signed affidavit. She names names. She details the meetings. She describes exactly how the Russian collusion hoax was born, from inside Clinton's own circle. And not once has Hillary denied it. One reporter interrupted, "Are you alleging?" Karoline cut in. "I'm not alleging anything. Tulsi Gabbard is, and Hillary hasn't denied a word. Instead, she wants to shut down the room that exposed it." Then came the moment that shattered hearts. "My mother once believed in Hillary Clinton," Karoline said, her voice breaking. "She kept a framed photo of her in our kitchen for years. Yesterday, she took it down and cried. She told me, 'Sweetheart, I never thought I'd live to see this.'" Karoline swallowed. "Well, Mom, today I'm standing for the truth you taught me to believe in. And I'm not backing down." The room went silent. No typing, no whispers, just raw stillness. Karoline lifted her head. "This podium isn't sacred because of me. It's sacred because it belongs to the people. And if Hillary Clinton can destroy it to protect herself, then what comes next?" She looked across the press corps. "If this room falls, so does the voice of every honest American." One reporter stood and began clapping. Then another. Then the room erupted. It wasn't political. It was human. Inside the Roosevelt room, President Trump watched in silence, his eyes locked on the screen. And somewhere in America, a new generation quietly realized the war for truth had just begun, and Karoline Leavitt was leading the charge. His usual fire gave way to something quieter, deeper. There was pride in his eyes, pride not for a policy or poll number, but for a person. Karoline Leavitt's voice echoed like a war drum inside that hallowed press room, steady and unrelenting. President Trump leaned forward slowly, elbows on his knees, gaze locked on the screen. "She's not just defending my administration," he murmured to an aide nearby. "She's defending the soul of this nation." But what shook America most wasn't the defiance itself. It was the sincerity behind every word. Karoline didn't dodge Hillary Clinton's accusation. She met them head-on, with truth, with grit, with unmistakable conviction. In living rooms, across Alabama, diners in Kansas, nursing stations in Pennsylvania, Americans felt something stir. A young mechanic in Indiana, watching on his break, turned to a co-worker. "I've never voted," he admitted, "but I'd march behind that woman without hesitation." Inside the West Wing, Trump stood abruptly. "Double her security," he ordered, turning to a startled Secret Service agent. "Voices like hers, they make enemies." Hillary Clinton's attempt to shutter the press room was meant to silence dissent, to halt the hemorrhaging truth. But Karoline's response didn't just counter the attack. It ignited a national awakening. That very room, once at risk of being boarded up, stood prouder than ever. Reporters across political lines said nothing. For once, no shouting, no interruptions. Everyone recognized something rare, history, unfolding in real time. Karoline stood. At the podium, Hillary wanted erased and addressed the nation without apology. "This space doesn't belong to any one person, party, or agenda," she said firmly. "It belongs to the American people. To silence it would be to blindfold a nation just as it begins to see clearly." Her final words were barely above a whisper. Hillary didn't just try to close a room. She tried to smother the heartbeat of democratic transparency. Then she straightened herself, hands shaking ever so slightly. "I stand here not as a perfect person," she continued, voice cracking, "but as someone who refuses to lie to the American people, even when truth comes at a personal cost." The weight of her words hung heavy. For once, the podium didn't seem like just a piece of furniture. It felt sacred. And Hillary's earlier demand, it reeked now of desperate self-preservation. Across the country, something rare began to grow. Not political fervor, not party tribalism, but hope. Real, earned, honest-to-God hope. In a small church in Mississippi, a pastor paused mid-sermon, grabbed the remote, and raised the TV volume. "God bless this woman," he whispered to his congregation. "This is what courage looks like." Karoline, her voice still trembling, turned to the camera. "To every young girl watching tonight, strength isn't about shouting the loudest. It's about standing unshaken in the truth." In Philadelphia, a grandmother wiped away tears. "That's how I raised my daughters," she whispered, hand over her heart. Karoline pressed on. "We've been divided, lied to, weaponized for political games. But today, we take something back. Not with force, not with anger, but with truth." Her eyes locked on the camera. "Truth doesn't belong to Hillary Clinton. It belongs to you." The line hit like lightning. Millions shared it, quoted it, etched it in their minds. Meanwhile, behind closed doors at MSNBC, Hillary Clinton sat frozen. Gone was her trademark composure. Her hand trembled slightly as she picked up her phone. A voice hissed from the other end. "She's blown the lid off. Tulsi's files are public. Karoline just put your fingerprints all over everything." Clinton's face went pale. "I underestimated her." "No," the voice replied sharply. "You underestimated honesty. And that's far more dangerous than you realize." Within hours, Karoline's address had exploded online, 40 million views and climbing. Hashtags like "Leave it unfiltered" and "Defend the press room" saturated every feed. But what shocked analysts wasn't just the numbers. It was the tears, real, unrehearsed tears. In Texas, a single mother filmed a TikTok. "I didn't even know who she was," she said through sobs. "But today she gave me something I hadn't felt in years: belief." In Detroit, a middle school civics teacher played the clip. Afterward, her class stood and clapped. One student whispered to a classmate, "I want to be that brave someday." Then came the bombshell. A former Obama staffer stepped forward in a televised exclusive. "Yes," she said, trembling. "Hillary Clinton approved the strategy. I saw the memo. I was in the room. We were told to bury Trump before he ever took office. It wasn't about security. It was revenge." The anchor stared in stunned silence. "Are you confirming on national television that the Russian collusion story was fabricated inside Clinton's inner circle?" The staffer nodded. "Yes." And anyone who objected got steamrolled. That night, Karoline returned to the podium. One last time. Cameras rolled. The room was dead silent. Her eyes looked tired but unbreakable. "This will be my final statement," she announced, unfolding a small sheet of paper. Gasps her resignation letter. "I'm not leaving because I'm scared," she clarified. "I'm leaving because the truth now belongs to you. It no longer needs my protection." A journalist called out, stunned. "You can't leave now." Karoline offered a soft smile. "I never intended to stay. I came for one reason, to speak truth during an age of deceit. And now, America is awake." She turned once more to the camera. "Hillary Clinton underestimated me. But more than that, she underestimated the American people, and that mistake will haunt her legacy." She placed the letter down with reverence and walked off, not in defeat, but in victory. And the press room didn't fade into shadows. It pulsed brighter than ever before. By morning, headlines screamed across the nation. A federal judge had unsealed damning documents tied to the 2016 election. The conspiracy was confirmed, funds traced, media manipulation exposed. One name appeared again and again, Hillary Rodham Clinton. Headlines read, "Truth vindicated, press room defended, Levit's legacy begins." At midnight, Karoline returned to the White House lawn. Her grandmother Edith walked beside her. They stood beneath the American flag in solemn silence. "You've carried a nation," Edith whispered, holding her hand. Karoline's reply was barely audible. "I just couldn't let the lies win." She stepped forward, knelt, and pinned a child's, drawing to the flagpole. It read in crayon, "Truth Keeper." "Eyes to the stars," she whispered. "This flag has survived war, betrayal, and fire. But its greatest threat has always been silence. I just found my voice when it mattered. If this story stirred your soul, if you felt pride, or hope, or even a single tear, then don't let it end here. Subscribe to our channel for more stories that matter. Like this video if Karoline Leavitt inspired you. Comment "Truth" to flood this platform with honesty. Join our channel for exclusive access to behind-the-scenes reports, truth briefings, and community stories. This is where the Lioness legacy lives on. Truth lives here, and so do you. God bless you, and God bless America.